if the children cannot go to the walls must come to the children. And I created these like miniature walls that would have all the posters that you would want big in the classroom, but in microcosm.
Hello, and welcome to the Arts of Language podcast with Andrew Pudewa, founder of the Institute for Excellence in Writing, or as many like to say, IEW. My name is Julie Walker, and I'm honored to serve Andrew and IEW as the Chief Marketing Officer. Our goal is to equip teachers and teaching parents with methods and materials which will aid them in training their students to become confident and competent communicators and thinkers. So Andrew, the theme of this year, we keep coming back to the theme of the year because it is, after all, the theme of the year is back to basics. And of course, that for us takes us even back as far as Mrs. Ingham and her philosophy.
Yes, all the way back to Gruard in the 90s for
Yes,
me.
yes.
And when I first went there, Mrs. Ingham was already pretty old.
Yes.
Dr. Webster was still a little bit older than I am now, although the gap is closing quickly. And one of the things that was always present in all of the teaching that we received there was this idea of multisensory environments. I think they had figured this out long before the modern educationists had realized that if you're saying something, try to show as well. If you're showing something, explain. And anytime you can get some kind of kinesthetic or tactile or manual approach in, all the better. And that's why her book was called The Blended Sound Sight Program of Learning. In one, it was mixing kind of the world of good phonics instruction with a reinforcement for the words that you can't really sound out, right? The words that just don't make sense in English. And so blending those, but then moreover, it was this always mixing the auditory and visual inputs. And that manifested in various ways. One is that she had magnificent stuff for the walls.
Yes.
The Sound City, which we really do need to revisit and explain more because it's such a lovely idea. That was just powerful. The idea of reminder signs on the walls. The idea that the walls shouldn't be just decorated to look nice. And I'm not opposed to beauty in the classroom, but that the walls are more like a living reference for the students. And if you've ever taught in a classroom, you notice that children can kind of space out and just look around. And that's natural. We all get tired looking at the same thing for too long. So their eyes fall on a reminder sign for punctuation. Their eyes fall on a list of words. Their eyes fall on a beautiful quote. These types of things that are furnishing the mind through the visual sense in a very relaxed, informal, if you will, way. And that carried over, of course, into Dr. Webster and the writing program. And so he had developed all these kind of reminder signs and posters and charts for the models and word lists and all that. And when we first went to Gruard, the basic schedule was you'd have 3 or 4 hours of lectures per day, and then you'd have another many hours, I guess, as long as you wanted, to be making things to take back to your classroom after the 2 weeks were over. And so people would, drive up loaded with poster board and construction paper and boxes of felt markers and yardsticks and stencils and all that stuff that was necessary to create this visual reinforcement of the methodology.
I know that one time we had Mrs. Ingham come to one of our writing educators conferences where I think the one in Murrieta is the one I'm thinking of. And she had this suitcase that was huge. And she had all of these posters and visual aids in there. And I just thought, oh my word, how did you, Andrew, transport all that back? Did you drive up to
I
war?
always drove.
Okay.
Yeah, I drove, I think every time.
It's a long drive.
Well, I was living in Idaho, so it wasn't as bad.
Yes.
But yeah, it was a long drive. You know, that idea was deeply instilled in the whole team there. And so that was just something you do. If you're going to teach the children a poem, of course you'd make a poster of the poem. You wouldn't just leave it on paper or hand it to them or not have anything for them to look at. If you're introducing Unit 3, of course you'd have a poster of the story sequence chart. That would be just de facto the way we do things. And so for some teachers, I'm guessing they showed up and it was a little bit jarring, but very quickly, everyone's sitting in a workroom, laughing, telling stories, asking questions, talking about what they've been learning, and making things for their classroom.
You are bringing back to me, Andrew, and I don't know that I've ever told you this story, least of all our listeners, but when I taught in the classroom, because I taught first grade, I had a teacher's aide, dear Mrs. Wanda Stamen, who would do my bulletin board every month. So I had a different bulletin board every month. I told her what the theme was, and I do remember one time she did the fox and the grapes, and she cut out little grapes and assembled them on the board. That was Mrs. Naiman's job. My job every day was I had copy work on the board for the kids to copy on the chalkboard. Chalkboard, Andrew, this is how long ago it was.
Yeah.
And every word was a different color so that if the kids get lost from the board to the paper, they go, oh, I'm on the red one. Okay, now I'm on the blue one. And that way they do copy work that way.
Yeah, just thinking about a chalkboard, and it gives me the creeps. But yes, we had them. So over the years, though, we discovered that teachers were less and less able or willing or could catch the vision of making things. Instead, they gradually shifted over. Well, can I buy it?
Yes.
Right? And so there was that shift. When I started teaching the structure and style course, I would spend a bit of time trying to encourage parents and teachers. Okay, here's a little mini version. You should make a big version of this to hang on the walls in your classroom or in your teaching space. And you know, I would try to give them the vision. Of course, you know, I'm teaching a course over 1 or 2 days. We didn't have 2 weeks with 4 or 5 hours a day dedicated to that type of activity. But one of the groups I worked with early in the O's, actually it was before then, I think it was late 90s, early O's, was the Rockland School District in Northern California. And they were great. The teachers were buying into it. The district had its own standards for writing. The administration was very supportive. They were on a mission to get these kids to be able to write well. So it was really positive. And I was explaining, I remember this very clearly. I was explaining, so here's the posters that you make so you can put it on the wall, and you need your, model chart. You need your Tapakuncha reminder sign. You need your list of LY adverbs. You need your synonyms for the banned words. And I'm kind of building this and trying to create the vision. And then I was told that the fire marshal of Sacramento County had established some kind of policy or rule that did not allow schools to cover more than 20% of their wall space with paper.
20%? That is ridiculously low. For a teacher, I can't even imagine, Andrew.
Well, it is obvious that this fire marshal never stepped foot, at least as an adult, in a classroom, because it's unreasonable. If you're a good teacher, it's unreasonable. In fact, it makes your classroom seem a little bit more like a prison cell, I think, when you have all these concrete blank walls and sometimes the windows are not anyway, I was furious, and I thought this guy needs to be like strung up by his toes, upside down, in a room full of hyper-caffeinated 9-year-olds with Nerf guns or something, some kind of something to teach them a lesson. But anyway, I went back and I was thinking, okay, what's the solution here? If the children cannot go to the walls must come to the children. So I ran out to the store. I bought some file folders, just manila file folders. I'm in the hotel in Rockland, California, and I taped these things together, 2 file folders taped together so that one flap is connected with the other, and it folds out kind of like a desk carrel, right, with 3 sides, and it's stiff, so it'll stand up. And then I drew and cut, and I created these like miniature walls that would have all the posters that you would want big on the walls in the classroom, but in microcosm on the little walls that the students could put on their little desks. And I brought this in and I showed it to all the teachers and I said, okay, here's the solution to the problem. Make these for all of your students, or better yet, have your students make them. Take some time. And then the idea was that you would add things to it. So as you introduced a new idea, needed a new reminder sign, had a new banned word, whatever, you would gradually build your portable walls over time.
Necessity, the mother of invention.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Or just anger. So I don't know how many teachers in Rockland actually did that.
Well, and I need to insert this, Andrew. It's a little bit of sad news. We do have a link on our website, link in the show notes, about how the Rockland School District demonstrated the proficiency of our writing method. But to this day, they are no longer using IEW. So if you are in Rockland, I will be there this summer. I would be happy to meet with you to talk about the virtues of bringing IEW back into your schools and have that same success that you had in the 90s.
Yeah, that study was really dramatic improvement. But I don't remember how long after that was. Maybe you remember. And I said, well, nobody's really going to make these things. So let's create a product and we'll call it the Portable Walls.
You have to tell the story about the lap book that Denise Kelly gave you.
Well, it was the similar idea. Lap booking was kind of a well-known thing in the homeschool world at one time, and you would study something and then you would create this fold-out thing with all these little flaps and pockets and little charty things. And I never actually did this with any of my kids. Did you do lap books?
No. But I believe that truly was the precursor to us developing a portable walls that we now make available to
Yeah,
anyone.
I guess it was part of that process because I still, I think, had the idea. Somehow we got to help people overcome these ridiculous rules about walls. And then, the homeschool mom doesn't have often as much wall space even available. So we did. We created the portable walls, and it had the unit charts, reminder signs, word lists, and other miscellaneous little things that are helpful. And we've gone through many iterations of the basic portable walls, instruction style for students, portable walls. And I think we even have given them away many times.
Oh, sure.
For the Christmas, 12 days. We've given them away examination packets for schools. It's kind of a handy little cheat sheet kind of summary of all that we do. And I've used them and given them to my students since I'm actually too lazy to make them out of file folders myself now anyway.
Well, and you kind of own them all anyway, Andrew, so you are welcome to take as many as you want.
The only downside is you want to be careful not to give this thing to students too soon. Because if you're just getting started with Unit 2 and an LY word list, you don't want to give them something that has way too much information. Ideally, I think you could teach through the units, get up to Unit 6, 7, have develop your word lists, and then give them the portable walls, and they would have a better sense of what the thing is, what it's for. With my kids right now, I didn't give it to them at all in the first year, but now in the second year, it makes a lot more sense. We also came up with variations.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us some of the many variations, since I probably can't remember them all.
Well, I actually have visual aids in front of me. But just like you say, Andrew, to give these to very young students can be overwhelming. And so we actually created a portable wall for essentially the primary students called Tools for Young Writers. And these have a lot of squares on the walls that are blank. And then inside are stickers. So when you're talking about verbs and what a strong verb is, here is what a verb is. You can peel it off. This kind of serves as a grammar curriculum because it's not a grammar book, but you're adding
a grammar reference. I wouldn't call it a curriculum per se, but it
then
can be
the
helpful.
Units are here. So as you're going through the units, and of course, when you're at this age, you're probably not going to go through all 9 units, but maybe you'll get up to Unit 5 or skipping Unit 6 for that age. Anyway, these all have stickers so that the students can build their walls. So that's the Tools for Young Writers, similar to the portable walls for students, for structure and style students.
Only a little more cute and a little less overwhelming.
A little less overwhelming, right. And then on the back actually is an alphabet manuscript in cursive so that your students have a reference to how to form those letters. So that's what the age we're talking about. The next one we did was for grammar. So this goes along with our Fix It Grammar program. It's called Portable Walls Grammar on the Go. So here's all the grammar rules that you might learn in Fix It Grammar, and including openers, sentence openers, and dress-ups, as well as parts of speech and prepositions and comma rules and all the things that you will learn in your Fix It Grammar over the years. So very handy resource, something you can take with you, which is why we call it Grammar on the go, right? And then we created, to go along with our Introduction to Public Speaking course, Portable Walls for the Public Speaker. And this folder, this Portable Walls, highlights some of the concepts that you share in that video course. And this is included with the video course, or you could purchase it separately. And then the last one, the most recent one that we did, is called Portable Walls for Academic Writing. And again, this goes along with University Ready Writing, the course, the 12-week course that we created to help those students, whether they're new to IEW or have had many years, get ready for assignments that they will be using in their college courses. And we talk about the essay model. We spend quite a bit of time in that course talking about note-taking because you spend a lot of time taking notes in class. And there's a little section on this portable wall that describes that note-taking method. Some of the same word lists that are in the portable walls for structure and style students are in the Portable Walls for Academic Writing. Anyway, great handy resource. And we have heard, Andrew, that college students will take one of these with them to school. And then their roommate says, "Oh, where can I get one of those?" And so there's actually a total of 5 in this series of portable walls. And we'll put links in the show notes to all of those.
Well, and we sell a ton of those things.
We do.
Too, so
sell probably literally a ton of these.
I suppose I should revisit my attitude to the fire marshal of Sacramento County and his ridiculous rules about paper on the walls, and thank him for the inspiration to create such a successful line of products.
Yes, exactly. So super helpful. I love that they are portable. I love that we call them walls. It's not one. This is actually 6 walls here.
Right.
Front and back.
You can fold it out, set it on your desk, look at the inside. You can close it. Each one has a cool little pocket, and there's even little Easter eggs under the pockets.
Easter eggs under the pocket. Yep. So you can put your little notes in there or not. It just adds stability to the folder, so it stands up better if we put that pocket in there. So that's honestly why we did it. And then to hide an Easter egg. So, well, great stories, Andrew. So thank you for sharing. And listeners, we hope that you will
grab yourself a portable walls or a Tools for Young Writers and set it up on the table and get those things you want the children to see while they're spaced out right in front of them.
Right in front of them. Thank you, Andrew. Thanks so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, please subscribe to our podcast in iTunes, Stitcher, or Spotify. or just visit us each week at iew.com/podcasts. Here you can also find show notes and relevant links from today's broadcast. One last thing, would you mind going to iTunes to rate and review our podcast? This really helps other smart, caring listeners like you find us. Thanks so much.